Well, good morning, everybody. I'm sorry I'm a minute late, but I'm better to be a minute late than a whole day. Forgetting that we had a stream. Good morning, Ryan G. Hello, Mary and Alex. Thank you for coming on to Gita. It's it's not exactly really clear to me, these verses that we're going to look at, but you know what? They all get cleared up because you're online. Yeah, because your heart is online with the divine right now. So is mine. So Mary, thank you for coming on and bringing your love, bringing your light. Seriously, that's our focus this morning, is bringing the love and the light. And if you're not in the love and the light, just have a knowing and a knower and a knower. That is one of those three. We're going to learn about the three triune, also called the three grades of knowledge, action, and character. So we're still on these verses here in page 1033 that are all about action and what triggers actions. Why are we in action today? Why did we come online today? Right? It's all about an understanding of who's on first, so to speak, right? Who's the one that's responsible for this action that I'm doing? So we're gonna mess around with those understandings and get going and see what the divine has, not just for the group, but for each of us individually, because this is an individual journey. It's one that only us in this bodysuit where we are at right now. What is that? I froze. Oh, here I am. Yeah, it's just us right here and now, my dear. So thank you for holding such a beautiful space. Let's look at this verse that is our starting verse today. Again, it's on page 1031 if you have your book open. And the verse in Krishna's words, and it's verse number 18. And of course, Yogananda has the Sanskrit for it, but we're not going to use the Sanskrit. We're going to use the English. And what the English says on this verse, on chapter 18 of the God Talks to Arjuna, volume 2, it says, the knower, this is Krishna talking, the knower, the knowledge. So just let's just see if we can just grok this a little bit. The knower. See what that means to you, the knower. Are you the knower about almost anything or everything or nothing? So there's the knower. Then this is actually a triune, the three grades of knowledge, action, and the character. But that's coming up. But let's get this knower, and now the knowledge. Are you the knowledge? And the knowing. Are you the knowing? Or who's the knowing? Those three things, the knower, the knowledge, and the knowing, constitute the triune stimulus to action. See, we're getting down to what what moves us, what motivates us, what turns on the engine of this morning, even of being here. Just so we put it in a little perspective of the here and now. What is that stimulus to action? So I know these three things have something to do with it. The knower, the knowledge, and the known constitute the triune stimulus to action. Another way to say it is the agent, the instrument, and the activity. The agent, the instrument. So if you're ready to go do something, right, you make your breakfast. Well, you know that you are going to make your breakfast, so you're the knower, and you are the agent because you're hungry, you're going to eat it, and you're also the instrument. You are also this physical being having a physical experience of being stimulated to have your breakfast. So you're the knower, the agent, and the instrument. And the activity are the threefold basis of action. Okay. So let's see where this takes us. Okay. That's the verse from Lord Krishna. The knower, the knowledge, and the known constitute the triune stimulus to action. The agent, the instrument, and the activity are the threefold basis of action. All right. So Yogananda's commentary, again, this page 1031, if you have your book open, God Talks to Arjuna, volume 2. We've come this far, and we are still on the quest. We are still right in the heart of the matter, my dears. This moment, this breath takes us right into the heart of the matter, right? Where we can just be who we are feeling is the knower, the known, and the known right now, the threefold basis of all action, and then Master's commentary coming right up. Both knowledge. So you have knowledge, I have knowledge, and instrumentality. You could say that we're the instruments for what flows through us, right? What comes into our brains, what motivates us to have an action, right? So both knowledge and instrumentality are the essential components in the performance of action. Knowledge and the instrument. So you get an idea, and then you, the instrument, go and play a tune or whistle while you work, right? Or get her done. So both knowledge and instrumentality are the essential components in the performance of action. Knowledge, Yogananda goes on to say, with its knower, the object known, and his knowing of it is that which incites the doer to action. So now we're getting incited to action, the knower, the object of the known, and his own knowing. Don't worry about this stuff, my dears. It will all become clear when the time comes for it to be clear. All right. Knowledge with its knower, the object known, and our knowing of it is that which incites us. And what is it that motivates us to action? This is part 3, actually, of what is it that incites us to action? Part 3. So the knower, the object known, and his knowing of it, or her knowing of it, is that which incites us to action. The mental and physical instrumentality of the doer empowers the activity instigated by that arousal. Okay. All right. It's our knower. We're the knower, the object of knowing, and our knowing. All right. They're all tied together. This is still part of the three gunas, believe it or not. The tamas, the rajas, and the sattvic, my dears. Believe it or not, we're still on the three guna. Everything is the three guna that run the universe. So we're still on that. And obviously, it's important to Krishna and it's important to Yogananda to try to do their best to describe what this all means for you. And then, of course, my little job here is to make it user friendly, right? How does this relate to me right now? How does this relate to you, Narayan and Mary and Alex and Lisa and Jem? So we'll discover this as we go along this morning. What incites you as a doer to action? The mental and physical instrumentality of the doer empowers the activity instigated by that arousal. So that which incites the doer to action. So anyway, Yogananda is going to give us a little illustration, a little example. Try to explain this a little bit more. He said the creation of a clay statue, let's say, of Lord Krishna, is just clay. And someone created it out of clay. And it's a statue of Lord Krishna, may be used as an illustration. Back in stanza 14, there were 5 causes involved in any activity. Back in stanza 14, I'm not trying to have ourselves go back and go, oh yeah, I remember that, because we probably don't. The stanza 14, which gave us 5 causes involved in any activity: the body, just to renew our awareness, the body, and in this case, the body is the artist. That's going to create I guess a clay statue of Lord Krishna. Right now, it's just it's just his knowing, right? So there's 5 causes of the activity in the body. Number 1, in this case, the artist. Number 2, the ego, the directing consciousness of the artist. Number 3, the artist's mind, which is in her intelligence, powers of perception, such as the senses of touch and sight, and powers of action, such as the exercise of manual skill. Number 4, the various subtle inner forces, the life-sustaining. It all gets down to, who's the doer? Who's the doer of anything, right? I mean, it can get that simple for us this morning, is just come back to that one doer of everything, which is spirit, which is God consciousness, right? That's the doer. And I think this just shows us that all the rest of it is God's cinema. It's his play. It's his novel, right? It's his creation. So this is just kind of digging in for those who like to dig and go, well, why is it this way? Why is it that way, right? When basically what we're going to be remembering here is that get out of the way of the way. Get out of the way of the doer of creation, right? Let it flow through. And our job, I think, is to be in the awe and the wonder of who's doing, right? And the appreciation of, and the humility of, that God is working us. He's the instrument. He's the knower. He's the knowing. He's the knowledge, right? It's just the one spirit. So there we go. It always takes us back to the one, my dears. No matter what verse we're on, what chapter we're on, what situation we're in, it comes back to, well, who is it? Am I in trouble here? Did I say something wrong? Or who's if we got to pin the tail on the donkey, what is the donkey? Who's the donkey, right? And are we able to pin the tail on the donkey this time, right? So we have those 5 causes, right? The body, in this case, the artist, number 1. Number 2, the ego, the directing consciousness of the artist. So the artist is getting ready to do the clay statue. It's getting all his materials out, ready to actually bring into manifestation this idea of having a clay statue of Lord Krishna, right? And it's going to take his body, who's the artist, It's going to take his ego, the directing consciousness of the artist. So there's got to be some way, he's got an idea in mind how to actually create this thing, this statue, bring it into manifestation. Number three, the artist's mind, going to use his mind, her mind, intelligence, powers of perception, such as the senses of touch and sight, to make this statue of Krishna. Going to use the senses, touch and sight, and powers of action, such as the exercise of manual skill. Number four, the various subtle inner forces are going to be involved in this action. The life-sustaining activities in the artist's body generated by the faculties described as the third cause. And number five, the presiding deity or seed tendencies from past lives, the innate skill of the artist. So it just takes into play so many intricate ways to look at this science, the science of, yoga, which is the science of knowing why something is the way it is, right? And how is that possible? And where do we fit into all of that? But then Yogananda goes on to say, however, the mere existence of these five causes would not produce a statue of Krishna unless, in addition, the artist, who is, by the way, the knower, visualizes the statue, which is the known, the object known, and through that conceptualization, the knowing acts upon his wish to bring the image into being. Okay? For some reason, God wanted us to hear this morning, my dears. Therefore, because we haven't really missed a verse in this whole thing since we started so many years ago. Therefore, these other three elements, the knower, the knowing, and the knowing. Therefore, these three elements, the knower, the knowing, and the known, are the real direct source of all action. All right? The knower. The gunas, the three gunas, the knower, the knowing, and the known. We could apply this to the three gunas, those three attributes that run the universe, right? The Divine Mother's Leela, Divine Mother's play. That's all this is. It's a play. It's a playhouse, my dears. And we are the knowers, the knowing, and the known are the real direct source of all action. Together with the aforesaid five causes, we just read them, and the five causes or basis of all activity are condensed to three categories in this stanza 18: the agent, the ego, the instrument, and the body, and all its physical and mental instruments and powers in action. So that's verse 18. All right, shall we move on? We got that one right. They're going to be tested here in a second, my dears. So we're going to turn the page and look at verse 19, which are the three grades. This might bring some illumination to the situation this morning. The three grades of knowledge, action, and character. The three grades, the three gunas are back in. They're back in, leading the charge here. All right. So, verse 19, Krishna, Hare Krishna, says, knowledge, comma, action, comma, and agent. So there's the knowledge, the knower, the knowing, and the agent. So, well, let's hear what the rest of this verse says by Krishna himself. Knowledge, action, and agent in the Sankhya philosophy are described as being of but three kinds, according to the distinction of the three gunas. So you all know what those three gunas are, right? The dark, the rajas, the in between activity, and and doership of an action, and getting involved in the outer things. And then the sattva, the pure spiritual things where Lord, you're the doer, not I. Or you're the doer, not I. Right? I'm giving you, I'm giving you the responsibility to deal with even the thought of my next thing, the next action, whether I know about it or not know about it, or I just fling myself into because it's automatic pilot at this point, being a human being and doing my things, doing my day, right? Having my plans, having my situation with relationship and so on and so forth, and what I'm going to do in the exterior world, right? So knowledge, action, and agent. Knowledge, we got the knowledge, baby. We're going to make that statue. We're going to take that clay, and we're going to produce it. We're going to manifest it. We go into action, and we're the agent. We're the agent. We're the artist. Okay. So we're going into action today, one way or the other, and we'll be the agent. So in Sankhya philosophy, all of that, the knowledge, action, and agent, are described as being of but three kinds: good, bad, and the ugly. There's the good, the sattva. There's something in between that can take us down into a pit, or it can take us up a little bit into, getting it done. But maybe it's a little is involved in it, and me being the doer of it, the instrument of it, things like that, the rajas. And then there's the perfectly sattvic, which just says, it's your call, Lord. You are me, and I am you. So thank you. And I think that, someone like a Yogananda are just in awe. They're just in awe that they have somehow discovered the consciousness that brings them into this awe, that it is all spirit. And it's that spirit is all that joy and happiness and peace and bliss and contentment. So, we can just bring it back down to these simple little things, but the most important, because they make it user friendly for us. They bring God into the place in your heart right now where you can have a moment of intimacy that you have put aside, that you need to know. How's that? That you need to know something, because the only one that knows is the knower. So maybe this is all about just those three gunas and those appetites that go with those three gunas, and the proclivities that come from those three gunas, you know, inciting us to different activities and different choices to make. Something along those lines. So knowledge, action, and agent in the Sankhya philosophy are described as being but of three kinds according to the distinction of the three gunas. So please, and now, and now Krishna is saying to Arjuna, please hear duly about this. Here, yeah, please listen to me now, he's saying in this verse 19 about the knowledge, action, and agent in the Sankhya philosophy. And then Yogananda just has a really brief commentary on what I just tried to describe to all of you. And Yogananda says Sankhya philosophy deals elaborately with the three gunas, or qualities of nature, as you've heard us talk about a lot. The qualities of nature, the sattva, the good, and the expanding, the rajas, the activating. So this is all about the three gunas. We've been on this triad for weeks and months now. in this Gita commentary by Paramahansa Yogananda, right? So it's nice to remember what is the forces that incite us to action. And it's those three gunas. You're going to have a choice to have real clarity in whatever it is you're up to today, real clarity. You're going to maybe, look in terms of God's in charge. Maybe you have a lot of humility going. Maybe you're surrendering to that and you're going about in a very spiritual way the so-called plans or at least the soul set or mindset, heart set that you're going to practice today in keeping your consciousness on the highest guna, which is the sattva, or you're going to, go about some duties, get caught up maybe thinking that, oh, I got a lot to do. You could probably be thinking, and then you're back in the mishmash of that one rajas guna, where sometimes you're caught up in the ego, sometimes you're a witness, sometimes you are, just feeling, some separation from God. Other times you're feeling close to God. Things like that, right? So the sattva is the good expanding guna. Rajas is the activating, as you've heard many times, and tamas, the evil, which is the obstructing of anything good and noble and true and worthwhile, right? And then coming up in the 20th to 39th stanza of this chapter, Lord Krishna describes to Arjuna how these three qualities that we just mentioned, my dears, yeah, as Happy walks into the picture. Yeah. In the 20th to the 39th stanza of this chapter, Lord Krishna describes to Arjuna how these three qualities, so those coming up, we're gonna get more of the gunas so that we can have at least a little bit of understanding of these three gunas, maybe a little more, just a little, just go, oh yeah, okay, that's what's inciting me to do this or think this or whatever. So in the 20th to 39th stanzas of this chapter, Lord Krishna describes to Arjuna how these three qualities determine the nature of knowledge, action, and the agent. The knowledge, the knower, the known, and the known. How they apply the knowledge, the action, and the agent. So get ready for more of this similar kind of focus, my dears, in these verses 20th, which we're on next, to the 39th. In this final chapter of our Gita study. Oh my goodness. So verse 20, we're moving on. Life moves on. Right, Narayanji? Mary, Alex, Lisa, and Jim, God bless you. And Brookie, who's here with us in spirit. So, O Arjuna, verse 20, chapter 18. God talks to Arjuna, commentary by Paramahansa Yogananda. O Arjuna, understand that knowledge to be sattva, by which one indestructible spirit is perceived in all beings. See how these gunas just kind of just put you want the highest guna, the highest one? Still, it's not the ultimate, because God is not a guna. God is everything and then some, right? So, O Arjuna, understand that knowledge to be sattvic. So we still want to go sattvic though, right? We still want to be as mindful and as awake and ready to go from the place where we're at today with so much patience, so much maybe compassion and empathy that life is challenging no matter which way you look at it, right? But you're a heart of gold. But you have a heart of gold, Narayan, Mary, Alex, Lisa, and Jim. That's all. That's all we've come on this line to say this morning. A lot of guna stuff talking about. It's complicated, right? But the bottom line is that this verse 20 says to us, "Oh Narayan, oh Mary, Alex, oh Lisa, Jem, understand, understand that knowledge to be sattvic, by which one indestructible spirit, one, one, we've narrowed this thing down to one, and we've narrowed it down to one indestructible spirit, is perceived in all beings." So that there's the gift of this morning. One indestructible spirit, my dears. In the sattvic consciousness, the highest guna, we understand and we have the knowledge of one indestructible spirit perceived in all beings. One indestructible spirit is perceived in all beings. Wow. That means start with yourself, look in the mirror, say to yourself, I'm indestructible spirit. I am indestructible spirit. And then if you see someone else, your wife or your husband come in, or someone you know, and you say, oh, there's an indestructible spirit. This person is an indestructible spirit. And so on and so forth. So there's our takeaway, I do believe, my dears. That's something that could be worth your beautiful attention this morning, and your coming here to Gita from my humble seat. So one indestructible spirit is perceived in all beings, undivided in the divided. So we're in this duality, dream, delusion. We're in a guna. So it's either undivided or divided. We still are one indestructible spirit perceived not only in all beings, but in ourselves. Whether it's divided or undivided, whether we're caught up in the trauma and the drama of daily life, or we're humming along with the Om. Everything is clear for us for another day underneath this sun, and in this consciousness that we're holding and being blessed to have, because we came on the Gita. Just that. So let's see what Yogananda says, because this is going to clear up this verse 20, which did bring some clarity, didn't it? One indestructible spirit is perceived in all beings. So Yogananda says, when a person intently watching a motion picture looks up and sees one pure imageless beam of light falling on the screen and creating the true to life pictures, he or she realizes that all the elusively realistic appearances are not but a mixture of light and shadows projected from the motion picture booth. Likewise, the awakened yogi with pure sattvic wisdom realize that it is one undivided spherical light of God surrounding the cosmos. One undivided spherical light of God surrounding the cosmos and commingling with the shadows of Maya or cosmic delusion that produce the world of solids liquids, gases, energy substances, trees, animals, human beings, as seemingly separate forms of matter. But the enlightened ones, Yogananda goes on to say, being, behold the one creating spherical light. So this verse 20 has talked about one indestructible spirit is perceived in all beings, and Yogananda's commentary on that is that an enlightened being beholds the one all creating spherical light. So you have the indestructible spirit is perceived in all beings, and you are beholding as well the one all creating spherical light of God as indivisible and indestructible. So here's where it makes sense. This is where it makes sense to me. I mean, you know, it just gets a little clearer when he talks in these terms. The enlightened being beholds the one all creating spherical light of God as indivisible and indestructible, whereas the so called real atomic vibratory manifestation of matter within it, though made of that one changeless light, appear to be various and changing. So that spherical light, that indestructible spherical light, that enlightened being beholds in this highest sattvic or this highest guna or consciousness, can also, you know, get us fooled a little bit in all its manifest forms. It's also all the manifest forms. It's not just the created or the all creating spherical light of God, but it appears to be various and changing as well. So this is how the mix works, my dears. This is how we're in a duality dream delusion at the same time that we're in the total reality, and it's all merged and mixed together. That knowledge by which spirit is perceived as one and indivisible, even in its manifold individual appearances, and all the manifold appearances of spirit in the different forms and attributes. And just look at the world. Just look at the physical creation. Just look at all the things that are just multiplied and diversified in this outer world. That knowledge by which spirit is perceived as one and indivisible, even in its manifold individual appearances as matter and mortal dreams, is called sattvic knowledge. All right. And then this verse 21 kind of continues along this vein. We got one more little bit to share this morning before we move on. But that knowledge that he just described, the manifold individual appearances of the spirit in matter and mortal dreams, is called sattvic knowledge. But that knowledge, which perceives in the aggregate world of beings manifold entities of different varieties, distinct from one another, understand that knowledge. Oh, this is going to the Rajasic. Understand. So he's trying to clarify that when we look out into the world, the aggregate world of manifold entities of different varieties, that we make a distinction that is rajas, the manifold, where the sattva is pretty clear that it is just this unadulterated, unfiltered, non-mixed with all the manifold stuff that's happening in this creation, that there's a separation, that the sattva is just this clear, understanding, spherical light, or as we learned a second ago, that it is this indestructible spirit. It is the indestructible spirit in all beings, right? So this is just, I guess, we're learning that there, to know about the distinction. You're having a bad time or you're restless in the day, you know that you're in Rajas. You're having a clear, heart-filled awareness day, and you're filled with sattva. And then when we get to be in next week, we'll probably, we'll, not just probably, but we'll be hearing about the tamas, all right? So that we have an understanding, again, that this universe is made of these three gunas and it operates everything, right? And if we have an understanding of which guna is activating through us, it just gives us more awareness of how God is this physical creation is working and why it's not that simple, right? And but the Gita describes it as best it can, just to give us the science of oneness with the infinite, my dears, in all its complexity, in all of its diverse, manifold, you know, forms, objects, the knowing, the knower, the knowledge, the agent, and all that stuff. Just so that, as we get clearer and clearer as the days go by and the months go by, and we're still in these body forms, that we have some sort of an awareness that there is a force that works through this material world that's crazy. That's crazy. The dark side, the active, restless side, and the spiritual side. And it's all mixed together. So we're going to be learning about this mix coming up here. All right. So thank you, my dears, for your patience with this. Thank you for paying attention. Thank you for jumping online. Thank you for letting your heart and soul just come here online to the Gita. Something got you here, and it's that something that we want to just focus on. Just the one. That's just the one that got you here, that holds you here. That is now operating in you and your next thing for this beautiful day in awareness, in an awakening state where you just said, wow, what was that? What did we just hear this morning? All right. So thank you, Narayan. Thank you, Mary and Alex. Thank you, Lisa and Jim. God bless you. I'm going to get ready and see what we're going to come up with for the Sacred Soul meditation. So thank you, my dears, and have a beautiful rest of your day. And you choose. You choose. Yeah, you're welcome, Lise. You're welcome, Lise. Yeah, yeah. And see what the rest of the day holds for you, my dears. If you might want to play the game of saying, am I in a sattvic frame of mind, state of mind, or am I in a rajas? Or maybe I'm being tempted by the dark side, whatever. But have a good one. I know you're going to have a good one. That's the bottom line. And you're made of love and light. I know that. And God is you. And there's no reason to get excited and worried about anything. Love you. Thank you. God bless. Aho and namaste.